after that, oh wow, so lost that much for like using it as sports, I guess, unbelievable. And good game though. Just showing Bible terms, whatever it takes. That as you see on the screen, talking about the mock draft, and that's the thing. All of one of the greatest podcasts on the right? So, all so the channel is increasing Spotify. Now going forward, we'll watch the podcast Spotify every Wednesday. Every podcast. Ravens Sports Podcast on Spotify. Whatever. Check that out as well. 23rd coming up. Here is everything that's happening. Genesis over 7. Absolutely going to finish. Site with wrap up these are shield what heroes they did about this. Thank you very much. Also one of the reasons like sell it so bring actually the value of it.
All right, now you can hear me better, I'm sure. Now you can hear me better, but sound is much better. All right, so let's go ahead and go over this today, everything that is going on here, and let's go ahead and check it out as well. We're going to talk mock draft. Going forward, a lot of our mock drafts, we're going to do Ravens mock draft. We're going to do a full 7-round Ravens mock draft, but we are going to start with the mock draft. There you go. We all know the chime there for the NFL mock draft. We're going to go ahead and talk about that. We're going to talk about Michigan State, Maryland. We're going to talk about baseball as well. But we got the draft coming. So those of you that love the draft, that are like me, that are big fans of the NFL draft, it's going to be different this year than what we had last year. Last year, we had a lot of rubber stamp. We had a lot of NFL draft teams, a lot of teams that were in the draft. We kind of knew what was going to happen at the top. This year, not so much. Quarterbacks, not as much as we saw last year. We saw an unusual amount go very high. There's a couple of elite players. You're seeing more defensive players. Last year, we didn't get a defensive player to about 15, I think it was. So other positions are now in there as well. I think there's already a lot of smoke. So, we'll talk about the quarterbacks and everything, but there's a lot of smoke. And how do I make a mock draft? So what happens when you do a mock draft for the NFL? So there's a couple of things. Why are you in the shot there? Well, we're going to talk mock draft. Yeah. Who's going first for Tennessee there? That's Mrs. Ravori. So we go ahead and for the NFL mock draft, what do we think is going to happen? What do I think is going to happen? What the teams are going to do? What are the history of these teams? How do they go ahead and draft players? That always factors in. So obviously what you think, but also too, it is somewhat predictive. So the history of like it, how does EDC draft? How does Les Veach draft? How does Omar Khan draft? What do they actually do in the draft on an annual basis? Also to who's available, obviously. What are the needs of the teams? What teams need what exactly in the draft? So those are all things I look at in the mock draft for these teams. So let's go ahead. Number one in the 2025 mock draft, Cam Ward. There's a lot of smoke with Cam Ward. There are really two quarterbacks in this draft. Cam Ward and Deion Sanders' oldest son. I don't know if he's his oldest son or not, because Shallow's about the same age. But those are the two quarterbacks that are going to go in the first round. The guy that Cam Ward reminds me of, it's fitting that he's going to play in Tennessee, is Steve McNair. I think the athleticism is there. He's going to run. I do think Ward is a good first-round pick. All the measurables are there. He does need a bit more coaching in the sense of I don't think every coordinator would know how to use him. But I think Cam Ward, the upside, I think, is the highest. I think the Titans do take first. They are saying that they're going to go in the draft. They're open for business. I kind of do think that's smoke a little bit. I think if they're blown away with something, they would trade it. The Browns. I keep seeing mock drafts with the Browns not taking a QB. I kind of don't think they have a choice, right? You got to take Shedeur if he's there. I think they kind of – some of them would want to take an Abdul Carter or defensive player. It's kind of in Brown's nature to go against that, but I don't think you can pass on Shedeur Sanders. You cannot have another season of having the fans hoping that Deshaun Watson is coming back and all that, et cetera. That's not going to work. Best player in the draft. I think the Giants are dying to take one of the first two. I think if there is a deal, it's going to for sure be with the Giants. I don't think going by this draft, not going to be a deal. Short of a deal, I don't know if they get one. Travis Hunter, I think, is going to be he's a generational talent on both sides of the ball. I think some team is going to try and make him a two-way player. I don't know if that's wise, but he could play at a high level at wide receiver and or cornerback. There's no question about it. He plays at a different speed. So I think, to me, he's the number one player on the board in the entire draft. It doesn't matter if you play him on either side. He'll be successful, I think, on either side. The question is, can his body hold up for both sides of the ball? I'm not sure anybody's can at the NFL level. Abdul Carter for the edge. For the Patriots, they definitely need offensive line help. I think that's looking at the needs. I think that's the biggest needs. You cannot pass on Abdul Carter. You cannot pass on that. You have to take him there. So when you look, this guy may be the best player in the entire draft. Fourth in the draft is a great place to take him. They definitely need that offensive line help, but you can't pass on a generational talent. This guy for sure is going to be one of the best defensive players in the league right away. I don't think there's any chance you pass on that. Will Johnson from Michigan. Will Johnson, I think, is tremendous. I mean, the only question here with him is the injury he had last year that caused him miss a lot this year. Watch the film of him going up against Marvin Harrison the previous year, one-on-one in coverage, actually getting an interception and everything. Will Johnson, I think, is a shutdown corner. So there's two really good corners early. Travis Hunter and Will Johnson are outstanding corners. More traditional, I think he's going to also get drafted high because easy to coach. You can put him in a slot. You can put him anywhere. Travis Hunter is number 5 there. I'm sorry. Will Johnson is number 5. Terriana McMillan. Michigan. I'm sorry, that's not Michigan. He's Arizona. Sorry about that. So Arizona, number 5 for that. The Raiders, I say it every year. You never know what it's going to do. The Raiders were my dad's favorite team. Al Davis. You never knew what Al Davis was going to do. Maybe take the fastest guy. I don't think there's a real speedster at wide receiver for them. So I think they're going to take McMillan. I don't know who's going to be throwing to him necessarily, but I think this is the best player on the board. Best wide receiver that's not named Travis Hunter. If you don't count Travis Hunter in the draft, I think you never know with the Raiders. It's always kind of tough to tell with the Raiders what they're going to do. Number 6, I think also too they're another team. I don't think they're going to do the deal as bad as Giants because they're picking lower, but definitely they'd love to get a quarterback. Mason Graham for the Jets. Graham is the best D tackle in the draft. You better have 2-3 guys to protect him This is an elite player. This is probably it for the super elite players to me in the draft. Mason Graham, I think it's a good draft pick for the Jets. I think this is something, again, not maybe the greatest need, but a guy of this caliber, you have to go ahead and do that. Michael Edwards, Michael Edwards Williams from Georgia. This is a more, to me, I see him more of a 4-3 end. So I think he fits in Carolina as well. Edge guy. He's going to get that sack production. Not quite as good as Abdul Carter. I don't think he has. I don't think he has quite the versatility as Abdul Carter. More traditional, but I think he's going to get a lot of sacks. I think pretty easy to coach. Good. They never really replaced Brian Burns. He can play 3-4. I think he can do that as well. But I think Williams definitely goes in the top 10. Calvin Banks, this might surprise some people. I have him a little ahead of Will Campbell at 10 for the Bears. Banks, I like him better than Will Campbell. I think Campbell, to me, seems to be a bit overrated in terms of I see him super high. I don't think he's that good. He's got Will Campbell has great balance. I think he has good hands, but I don't think he's not a Joe Alt when I see him. Banks, I think, is a little closer to it. He's kind of like J.C. Latham last year, better than I think he is, better than what people think he is. Great hands, strength, etc. I really like him as well. Yeah, I know. Terry McMillan is Arizona. Sarasota. Wrong graphic up there. I'm sorry about that, Kenny. So Kenny's a subscriber. Good guy. So we got that. Number 11, Jalen Walker, edge for the 49ers. 49ers are going to be making big changes, I think, for the offseason. Big changes. I think thank you, sir. The 49ers are going to be making big changes in the offseason. They may be losing some wide receivers. So this is a team that's been good, but they have some needs. You cannot pass. You cannot. I figured you might like to pick. You cannot pass on a Jalen Walker. Cannot pass on him. He's got too much ability. This is raw pass rush potential. Outside linebacker, fit right in. So the Niners are going to lose. Again, a lot of this draft is going to be guys you cannot pass on this late. So Walker, I think, is a great pick. Ashton Jeanty. Ashton Jeanty is the top 5 talent. Jerry Jones is not going to pass on this running back. I don't think this is absolutely what Dallas would do. Dallas badly needs a running back. Badly needs a running back. So I think they absolutely have to take Ashton Jeanty. Ezekiel Elliott. They let go of. They have to do it. I think as well. They're bringing back. Hopefully they get Dak Prescott back. They got CeeDee Lamb. They may need some help on the line. The line is getting a little young, but Jeanty I think makes a lot of sense. Malachi Starks, big safety need. I think they're probably losing Holland. For that, I think Malachi Starks, I think, is good. Not quite as good last year at Georgia. Not quite as good. Solid pick, but I think not quite as good. A little bit of a concern, but easy to me. I think he's easy the best safety pick in this draft. This is about where you would take a safety like mid-first round. Malachi Starks, I think, helps the secondary of the Dolphins. Tyler Warren, love Tyler Warren. There's 2 really good tight ends in this draft, but Tyler Warren is going over the pick. Starks is great. Losing Holland, yeah, they're definitely. I think they're going to lose Holland free agency. Tyler Warren he's a complete tight end. Physicality is the reason why you take him over Colston and Loveland here. The Colts definitely need a lot of help on offense. I don't think they have a quarterback. So one thing you want to do is help Anthony Richardson is to go ahead and get Tyler Warren in there to go ahead and help you right away. So I think this is a good pick. James Pierce, edge for the Tennessee Volunteers. Pierce, I think a lot of people were expecting them to take edge last year in the draft, and they really haven't solved it for a while. Pierce, I think, is a lot of talent. Now, we're in the area now with Pierce where there's a lot of good pass rushers, but they're lacking production, they're lacking size, they're lacking a little something. But they definitely need that in Atlanta. They went quarterback last year early. I think they go ahead and take edge with James Pierce. Cardinals take Kenneth Grant. Definitely they need help on defense. I think they Kyler Murray, I think it seems to be a lot of negative with him every year, but definitely they need some help on defense. Part of the problem that they have is the Cardinals. They're in a tough division and need help on defense. So this would definitely help him. I think Grant, I think, is really sneaky. I think if he's playing on the team with Mason Graham, kind of overshadowed him. Walter Nolan for the Bengals, I think, is an Ole Miss. I kind of was thinking maybe wide receiver for them, but I do think they may sign T. Higgins back for another year. So maybe just not a wide receiver. Best defensive player on the board as well. Nolan, I think definitely he's a first rounder. 3 really good D tackles early in this draft. Armin Amembu for the Mizzou Tigers. Good offensive line play here is always in supply in Seattle. It seems like every year we're talking about their offensive line need. Definitely getting a right tackle. And this is a right tackle pure. We talk about Membu. A lot of now these type of guys in the draft. Right tackle guys, not a lot of left tackles. I think pretty much the first 2 are already off the board. A lot of guard-ish guys. A lot of guys we talk about moving inside. They can move from inside. So definitely a need for the Seahawks offensive tackle, Membu. Jared Byrne is fantastic as a player. Loved watching him. I don't think he's as good. I think he easily, in a lot of drafts, could be the number 1 corner because of the 2 outstanding corners in this one, Travis Hunter and Johnson. He's a little bit later, but I love watching him. Probably have had as much fun watching video on him as any of the guys on this list. Definitely can play inside. Got a little bit of that Marcus Peters in him. He is going to take the ball away. That's why I like him as well. Bucks definitely need it. Outstanding pick here, Baron Colston Loveland. So again, have a young quarterback. How do you help him out? Loveland, I think, is more of a Shannon Sharp-ish, more than a Rod Gronkowski. That makes sense. Doesn't have the physicality, so he's going to get a little bit later. More of a pure tight end, not quite as good as over the middle of the field, but down the field might be the best tight end in the draft. As far as going in, you're going more vertical down the field. Colston Loveland, easy first-round pick. Him and Warren, I think you could see. You could absolutely see a team taking him earlier, but I think this is a great spot for him. Couple more. Ben Morrison for Notre Dame. I think he's really, really slept on. The 2 DBs that Notre Dame had, this is it. Maybe a little early, some people are saying, but I think, Bucks definitely need to beef up that secondary as well. Thanks, spot on with the Broncos. I definitely think Morrison was I think he's a little bit slept on some of these corners. Not next tier down, but again, a lot of good corners. Late first round, like a good defensive team like the Steelers need some help. Go next to Joey Porter. Mike Green at edge. Definitely they're losing. They're not bringing back Joey Bosa in Los Angeles. Khalil Mack is free agent. So I think they're definitely looking at edge, and he was fantastic at the Senior Bowl. Fantastic. Mike Green, I think, really had the small school thing sometimes hurts prospects as well, but I think that's probably the only thing, the level of competition. What he did at the Senior Bowl really sold it. Chevron Ravel, again, Jared Alexander probably going out the door in East Carolina. Again, small school, so maybe probably the reason why not hire. Another guy, good week at the Senior Bowl. Packers, this is typical Packers stuff. Defensive guy early, definitely do that. Booga from Ohio State. So kind of overshadowed by 2 outstanding wide receivers there that they had. Jermaine Smith last year, Marvin Harrison, a good, solid receiver. I don't know if he's a stud. I don't know if you're ever going to see this guy be the best receiver in the league, but definitely you put him on the right team. But definitely a Devontae, not the skill set isn't like Devontae Smith, but a solid number 2 somewhere. I think his whole career, like maybe a number 1 receiver, like on a bad team, but a solid number 2, right where he is in Minnesota with Justin Jefferson on the other side. I think that'll absolutely work. They're going to have J.J. McCarthy looking maybe starting for them as well. Tyler Booker, best guard in the draft, I think. I don't think it's pretty close. Some people have him higher. I don't think you're going to see him go higher than this. Booker, I think, is part mauler, big, strong, physical guy, and the technique is there. So I think Booker is absolutely a guy that is going to go ahead, go early in the first, go in the first round. I think he's the first one off the board. Booker, I think he's plug and play guard. I think he's maybe the only one too, like where you could start him from minute one. Texans could start him right away. Josh Simmons. I've seen him higher. I don't know about if he's going higher. The Rams absolutely would love to take a Josh Simmons. The injury, I think, is a thing. I think taking a guy early with an injury like him, he kind of missed a lot of last year. Very talented guy, but missed a lot of time. I don't think he's going to go 10, 11. I'd be a little surprised, but he's got to be thrilled with this. Definitely. Don't know if Stafford's going to be there. Maybe he will be. But I think this is a guy Stafford would love to have protecting him. Josh Connolly, I think, was terrific at the Senior Bowl. I think the Ravens will absolutely do it. This is a guy, like there's a lot of guys in the draft, like right tackle guys, whatever. Left tackle. So if you want a left tackle, this is absolutely a guy that the Ravens would actually take. So if you're going to take him, you can put Rosengarten on the other side, and you can put Connolly at you can leave Rosengarten on the right side, and you can put Connolly right in at right tackle, left tackle, providing they lose Ronnie Stanley. We're going to talk about that as well. Derek Harmon for the Lions. I think they're about as good as a team in the NFL. I think they just fell asleep against the Commanders on Sunday, so they should actually draft tackle here. Still have some needs on defense. They're still waiting for Aiden Hutchinson. Hopefully he can come back to full health. But definitely best player available need. Giant Campbell for the Commanders. Commanders have a lot of cap room. You know, I'm glad you brought this up. Do I think Wagner's coming back to Washington? Doesn't matter if he comes back. I don't. I think he's probably coming back, but definitely you look at a Bobby Wagner, and Bobby Wagner is literally going to be 35, 36. So you want to, even if you keep Bobby Wagner, you want to draft a John Campbell there, who is, I think, definitely the best inside guy on the board. Estuary for Minnesota at old tackle. Right tackle pure. I think definitely they need a lot of, offensive line help in Buffalo. You could put him in at right tackle. I think this will work as well. Wyatt Millum. You know, the Chefs have a lot of needs for a team that went to the Super Bowl last year. Both tackles, they have a need. They maybe they need help. They need help at running back. Receiver, maybe you have a question. Kelsey, it appears he's coming back. He still might retire. So, yeah, you need a lot of help. But 9-1-1 is the offensive tackle. That's what got him in the Super Bowl. He wasn't good as good as the Super Bowl, but they definitely could use some help here. I got him. Jack Sawyer, the rich get richer. The Eagles get an outstanding, one of those outstanding defensive ends from Ohio State. One of the two. He goes in the first round as well. Great men are have around Campbell. I agree. Don't want to hate the Chiefs. Hope they swing and miss like they did last year with Kingsley. I'm with you. We're tired of the Chefs, even though they lost. So there you go. Mock draft. Ravens, we'll do the full mock draft next week. We'll do the full 7 rounds. A lot of these mock drafts we're going to do together on the stream as well. But this week, first week, we're just going to do this one as far as the mock draft. Ravens, I think, definitely need offensive line help. There's no question about it. Let's take a look at the presser at the NFL Combine EDC. Every dollar counts. Costa and John Harbaugh. Let's go ahead and hear from EDC here. If we can go ahead and patch it in.
I have to prove to Chief that I can handle things on my own.
Are you done?
Gentlemen,
Yeah.
I am.
Hello.
You found your wallet? Nothing standing in the way of me. My pouch can do it absolutely.
He's going to talk about
Street races.
He's going to be talking about Mark Andrews, and some of it here is going to be interesting, what he says about Mark Andrews. So let's go to EDC.
Yeah, I mean, I think Mark is a great player. We're blessed to have 3 really good tight ends under contract this year. They all contribute in different ways. Their chemistry, their camaraderie, their impact on the offense, the relationship with the other skill guys is great. I mean, Mark's going to go down as one of our great players. He'll be in the Ring of Honor someday. I love having Mark on the team. He's an awesome player. I know he's going to have an amazing season. We'll figure out all the roster machinations over the coming weeks, but I can tell you there's no bigger fan of Mark Andrews than me. And he's been a blessing to have on the team. His leadership, the way he approaches the game, his attention to detail. He's just one of those guys.
I think they have a great dodge because they have that one.
So notice what he said there. Notice what he said in that song. Was great to have. Ring of Honor. So Mark Andrews has about $16 million under the cap hit that they're going to have this year for him. It doesn't sound like he's too anxious to go ahead and bring him back there. Thank you, brother. It doesn't sound like he's too anxious to bring back Mark Andrews there as well. A lot of fans are clamoring for Isaiah Likely. I get it. I do think at the very least what he's doing is he is trying to negotiate here, right? Like he's definitely at the very least trying to get some help on the cap because all the money he's trying to get. I'm a little surprised at taking this position. This is a guy who's been a Ring of Honor, maybe the greatest Ravens tight end of all time. And it could be showing him the door. But there was a lot of was in there as well. Ronnie Stanley, they are going to negotiate. I'm still not as hopeful as some people seem to be that they're going to sign Ronnie Stanley. I think they're going to talk to him, see if they can get him to take a blue light deal or something, which I don't think he's going to do. I think Ronnie's going to get a bigger deal. EDC was very non-committal also, too, on Justin Tucker. John Harbaugh, when he was talking about what flat out said they're looking at kickers. In part due to the way he played last year and the age. The issue with Justin Tucker, Eric DeCosta was asked a question about 4 times, and he basically gave the same answer. League is investigating. They're waiting to take action based on the league investigation. They don't sound like they want to cut it because they're not saying much. I think if they wanted to do it, they would have done it by now or something. So even the statement was non-committal. I think they want to keep Justin Tucker, guys. I don't know if they're going to, but I think definitely that's on the table that they're thinking about keeping Justin Tucker. So interesting to see what happens there at the Combine. So this is really the first time we've heard from them really in a while since the end of the season. Let's talk a little NBA. So last week we told you who the 5 best teams were. This week, NBA segment, let's talk about who are the best teams here at mid-season. Oh, wait a minute. There you go. So here are the best teams here in the NBA here at the midpoint in the NBA season. So the best players, who are going to win the NBA, MVP, etc. Now we had some big deals happen here. So we did have Victor Wembanyama, who was probably a defensive player of the year. He's not going to play anymore. So that also had to be adjusted. The rookie as well. One good rookie for the Philly. He's out for the season. So you have to adjust for that. What happened. So I kind of took those guys out. But let's just go over here real quick. Malik Beasley for the Pistons. The Pistons, I think, are a little bit better this year. I think this is a guy definitely who has been good on defense as far as their, sixth man of the year. Definitely scored some points for them. Peyton Pritchard is certainly fun to watch. So he's the cool pick. He's definitely been hitting a lot of those outside shots for the Celtics. The Celtics have a deep bench. I think this guy has led the way for him. DeAndre Hunter, I think, is absolutely the guy for them. He's actually just moved to Cleveland, was playing a lot in Atlanta. I think that will only help his chances playing on a good Cleveland team coming off the bench. So I like DeAndre Hunter here as well. This is probably Victor Wembanyama. I think I would have had it, but since he's going to be out for the year, I'm not going to put him. SGA, I think, is a tremendous defensive player. They're going to be a little biased against giving him the MVP, giving him the defensive player of the year because he's such a good offensive player. I think he's in the MVP race. But I look, this guy is phenomenal defense. This guy is Scottie Pippen, Michael Cooper. When I see him on defense, good on-ball stuff. Maybe the best on-ball guy in the league as far as defense is, as far as a guard. Dyson Daniels is phenomenal to watch. 3 steals a game. Getting in those running lanes, stealing the basketball, making an impact on defense. Fantastic. This is what you want more guards. This guy is a true pickpocket. You're talking about on-ball, Gary Payton type stuff, actually getting the ball away. Jaren Jackson, I think, is probably the new version of the Draymond Green physicality, getting guys, getting it physically. The Grizzlies, I think, have had success, I think, because of his play this year. This one was harder than to do. Cade Cunningham, I think, the improvement is the Pistons' improvement. The Pistons have been a little better this year. Tyler Hero, same, has been better. He scored more points, both of these guys. But I think they've had incremental improvement. They're in there. But I think the teams have gotten better. Tyler Hero's role is clearly bigger. But Norman Powell, I think, is huge, really saving the Clippers season here. Maybe not going that far, but you got Kawhi Leonard, a bit unpredictable is whatever. You got Norman Powell. The fact that he's improved has really helped the Clippers stay in the playoff race as well. The 2 Grizzlies, Zach Edey, great player from the Big Ten. I think probably not as good as some people thought, but also better than some people thought. There is a place in the league for a big physical center, changes shots as well. At times he does look a little slow, so maybe that hurts him on offense. But I think he can develop into that. Jalen Wells, I think, is really good. I think he's like 12 points a game. I think that's we've only seen the beginning with him. But Stephon Castle is a highlight. Stephon Castle is really fun to watch, and I think he's going to get more touches in the second half with Victor Wembanyama out for the season. MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo for the Bucks. One of my favorite players in the league as well. I think he's fantastic. Nikola Jokic, I think, has been carrying a really good Denver team all season. So absolutely, it's more of him by himself this year. But I got to go with SGA. I think when you're doing an MVP, the best player on the best team, there is nothing wrong with that as far as taking that. What does Kenny say? Could you realistically get Andrews? What's the question? You really think you could get for Andrews if they wanted to get rid of him? I'll get to that in a second. Till next time. Right. All right. So, but I think this is the best player in the NBA. I think he definitely deserves it as well. No question about it. SGA, the best player in the NBA and MVP. Answers the Andrews question, even though we were talking basketball there. I do think there's going to be a market for Andrews. There's not a lot of good tight ends in the league. I don't think a first is on the table, considering like he's in his late 20s, almost 30. But I mean, you still would probably put him in the top 5 tight ends. I think everybody's talking about Andrews around here like he's a fish or something, or not worth anything. Second or third, I think, is on the table. I think third most likely in a second. I think in there is a universe where somebody might give up a second, but a third. I think a third is probably more realistic. Andrews. All right. So, yeah, man. We just saw it. So let's go over it as well. 58-55. Let's get the lousy graphic up. That was unbelievable at the end of the Maryland Michigan State game tonight. So the Spartans were actually successful in College Park. Man, Michigan State, man, I got to tell you, all their teams look so similar because they have had they've had Tom Izzo there for so many years, and this was the Coach experiment: defense. The on-ball defense, the pressure, and everything they put on, that was definitely on display. They do not have a lot of scores in this team, like any individual guys. They have depth. They ran out 10 guys, and they wear you down on defense. Fears, I think, has been one of their outstanding freshmen. 5 points, 3 assists. Not a lot tonight from him. Even though I think you could argue he's been one of the best players. Jace Richardson has been coming on lately, 15 points, 8 rebounds. I think he scored the most tonight for the Spartans. I think, definitely to me, I think he had the best night on offense as well. Richardson had, what was it? He was 6 for 14 tonight. I thought he was pretty good. He had 8 rebounds, probably the only guy on offense that they had as well. Let's talk about Tabak. I think he was their big. They have a bunch of bigs that, again, the depth that they have. Xavier Booker, Corin Carr, and this guy was starting 7.6 rebounds, 7 foot, gave him a lot of size. I think he gave Derek Queen a lot of trouble in defense. I mean, he didn't score a lot of points, but he was really just putting a body on him all night long. And this is the guy tonight that broke our heart, Trey Holloman. 9 points, 3 rebounds, and he hit the game winner, the heartbreaking shot at the end there. That was from half court. I mean, I thought for sure this was going into overtime until Trey Holloman hit it. What happened with the Terps tonight? Very reliant on their starting 5. Miguel got in trouble early, 10 points, 10 rebounds. Queen, they were just swarming him all night. They have good defense. This is the second best defense in the Big Ten. This is the best defense. I mean, the scoring defense is something else, but they didn't score a lot of points. Queen was basically held in check. Gillespie did not have a good shooting night, but at least he was good at the line. I think he was like 2 for 11 or something like that. Yeah, he was like 2 for 10. But he hit all the free throws, which actually gave him that, and it was at least getting to the line. Ronnie Rice had by far the best offensive night. He was the only guy hitting his jumper. I think Rice is a good third option because you kind of take Queen away, you take other guys away, and Rice is the one. He seems like every time they try and do that, he's the guy that goes ahead and kills you. Heartbreaking stuff, man. So the Terps probably could have moved themselves into a top 4, top 5 NCAA tournament. They're definitely going dancing, but this was heartbreaking, like losing in this fashion. This happened right before that. Not too discouraging, though. Michigan State's really good. Definitely going to the tournament, definitely showing that they can handle themselves against a team that's in the top 10. So I don't think they moved too far down. 15, that's been the highest rank of the year. So 58-55. No reason to be too discouraged if you are a Terp fan, even though they lost tonight. 7th loss for the Terps. Definitely going to March Madness. Gotta march. All right. My beloved Sunday Night Baseball we talked about last week is no longer going to be on ESPN. So ESPN is ending its relationship with Sunday Night Baseball after 35 years. I remember that when I was younger, when they NBC had the rights like for most of my childhood there at that point, and then they moved the games to ABC and NBC had it, and then it was CBS that had it. They didn't last with the 4 years of the contract they got out of it. Then it went to Fox, but ESPN has been there since then. I think it's 1990 until now. So Sunday Night Baseball is moving. Interesting to see what happens with Sunday Night Baseball. I heard a comment, and I really wanted to say, where with Sunday Night Baseball, I heard somebody say this week, when they stopped doing baseball tonight, I became more of a fan of just the one team than the whole league. So I think the Sunday Night Baseball, to me, is for the whole league, is for everybody. This is how, for years, I was able to keep up with the rest of the league. The Sunday night game, I'd love to see what they do with the Sunday night game. So 2025 is going to be the last season. What do I think? What do I like to see happen? So these are 5 options. This is not predictive, but 5 options. MLB.com. I think if there's a universe where they would do that, if they really want to make MLB.com a destination, if you really want to move it, like you've seen with WWE, like you've seen with UFC, MLB.com is a good idea. I don't think they're going to do that, but I think it's definitely, if you have an idea with that, it'd be a great thing to do to put the Sunday night game there. This is, I think, more likely than people keep going past this, but absolutely could see Apple TV doing it. Their games aren't that good. I think they do. I think they do need some work. I don't think they're as bad as people are saying, but I could absolutely see them actually expanding their MLB coverage if they can get some playoff games or taking that spot from ESPN, taking a bigger role. They're looking to expand their channel. They certainly have plenty of money. So I definitely, there's a universe where I could see that for them. Amazon Prime, why not? Right? You want to talk about money? I think this Amazon, I think, is the biggest well-funded app in right now in the universe as far as anywhere. Amazon has a lot of money to do it. They're signing with the NBA. I think they've already signed with the MLB. They've signed with the NBA. They're going to have that next year. They're going to have. They already have the NFL. I absolutely see Amazon Prime next year for Sunday Night Baseball. I think it's only a matter of time too before they're actually involved in baseball. I don't know if they're doing it right away, but absolutely I can see it. That's the wrong number. 3. If I had my way, this would be who it is. I think Turner Sports has been doing baseball for a long time. They had the Braves. They have the LCS. They have a League Championship Series. I think they already have a good team. Do they want to get more involved? I think Sunday Night Baseball, they could use it. And they might have a spot now that the NBA is going to be leaving. So I think this would be perfect for me to have for Turner to actually have Sunday Night Baseball to help them with their HBO Max and their streaming and everything like that. I think this would be outstanding to have them actually have it as well. I think the only one better is, I think, the network that has it is Fox. I don't think they cover baseball as well as they should. I think the national media is kind of thinks whatever about baseball. But I do think if they had the Sunday night game, they would be interested in. So they already have the World Series and all this other stuff. But I think the Sunday night game is something they absolutely would be interested in as well. They're basically a sports channel now. I mean, in a lot of ways. I mean, if you want to watch Fox, even the main channel, Monday through Wednesday, they have, whatever show that they have. I don't even know anymore. But like Thursday through Sunday, what are they showing? College basketball, football, etc. Like that. So have Sunday night baseball all year during the summer, it would be great instead of The Simpsons or whatever else they show on Sunday night. There you go. All right, so those are the possible destinations for Sunday Night Baseball. I really would like Fox or Turner to actually take it. I think they would do the best at it. So let's talk about probably the best position on the field in terms of maybe that or the shortstop, but you have this is a very strong list of players to even pick the top 10. Very hard to do. It tells you why, because I don't even have Mike Trout on the list. Mike Trout is going to be playing now, no longer in center, going to be in right. I didn't even put him on this list of guys on right field, whereas left field, if he had stayed center, I'd have had him on the list. So that tells you how good of a list this is of players that we have in right field. So let's go ahead and get it cracking. Colton Cowser for the Baltimore Orioles is 10. I do think Colton's going to be in the top 10. I don't know, for whatever that's worth. There is a big drop at 8 here. I mean, he's not an elite player, but there's no question about it. Cowser doesn't have to fight for a spot. He's going to be in right. I think he's going to be in the lineup every day. I think he had a good year last year, 20 home runs. I do think this guy has all-star potential written all over him. Definitely, certainly. He's very good defensively. I love this defensively too. Cowser, another reason he's on the list. He's very good defensively. So I think Cowser is 10 in right field. Again, just showing you the straight. Like, had this guy stayed in left, he is going to take over in right. Christian Yelich is going to be now full-time as DH a lot of this year. So Chirino's going to be in right, and I think the sky's the limit. Jackson Merrill and Carl Skeens and Chirino last year were the 3 best rookies, I think, in baseball, and I think he was fantastic out there. I don't think anything stopping him from having 30 home runs and 100 RBIs going forward. I like his defense as well. I think definitely he has a long way to go last year. 20 home runs, 79 RBIs. I think that's just a start for him as well. So Jackson Chirino, I definitely have him in the top 10. Top 8, you have some real talent here. Little surprised that he is back with the Dodgers, that another team didn't take him after the year he had 33 home runs, 99 RBIs, going to play in right for the Dodgers. The lineup is so stacked. I mean, we all know this, right? Ohtani and Betts. I mean, we're doing this list. We're seeing Dodgers every week, and they belong on this list. So it only helps a player, I think, as well, when you have it. Hernandez, I think, is there as well at 8. Corbin Carroll now, a lot of expectation for him last year because he had such a good rookie year. He signs this huge contract, got off to a really slow start. Didn't play well at all in the first half. Now he's in right field full-time, 22 home runs, 74 RBIs, 231. Really good in the second half. So he really looked in the second half. So if he can put it together a second half or a full season like he did in the second half, I don't see any reason why he wouldn't have the sky's the limit for him. I think Carroll is, going to be one of the top players. Definitely, I definitely think the potential's still there. Not too down on Carroll. Kind of put him in the same category as Julio Rodriguez. He didn't immediately climb as high as maybe some people thought, but I think the potential is still there for young Corbin Carroll. Some of y'all are going to disagree with Garcia. That's fine. I still love him. This guy's an outstanding power hitter. Adolis Garcia for the Texas Rangers. Last year, he hit 25 home runs, 85 RBIs, 224. Average is a little lower than I like the last couple years, but definitely the power's there. I definitely see him bouncing back. I definitely see a lot of the Rangers. I've said that about a lot of Rangers. I definitely see them bouncing back and getting back into more of what we've seen from them as well. I have him at 6. Great power hitter. I think he's got a great throwing arm in the outfield, number 6. MVP candidates here pretty much are at 5. Fernando Tatis. Only thing he's ever done wrong is he did have I take it back. He did have the where he got in some trouble as far as failing the test and all that, etc. So he missed some games. 21 home runs, 49 RBIs. Keep him on the field, and there's no problem as well. Has some problems, got to get his mind right, but I think the talent is absolutely there. This guy is a masher when he's absolutely healthy as well, but just got to get his mind right. That's the only flaw in his game. Could play many positions on the field. I think he's outstanding in right field as well. Tatis is there, number 5. Kyle Tucker. Something is wrong if the Astros traded this guy away. The money he must have been asking for is a thing, because that's got to be the only reason. Because Tucker, I think the secret's out. I think Kyle Tucker is a fantastic offensive player as well. So he's going to Chicago. He's going to be the alpha in the room, the best offensive player. They had 289 last year, 23 home runs, 49 RBIs. Staying healthy again the whole year, but absolutely Tucker, I think, is going to be one of the highest paid players in all of baseball. Still really young. I mean, Tucker's about 28 years old, very accomplished, played on a World Series team. A lot to like about Tucker. I'm surprised that the Astros actually moved him. Ronald Acuna Jr., we know what he can do. He had 50-50 the season before. Like a lot of the Braves, had an injury last year, didn't play as much. But I think Acuna, I think, is about as good of a prospect as you can get. Definitely think that Acuna can get back to the number one spot as one of the best player in all of baseball. Just got to stay healthy. No other reason to not think that. Juan Soto, I think, would be number one most of the time on teams, but signed for a whole lot of money. I mean, that was a whole lot of money with the Mets. Biggest contract, I think, in MLB history. Already hit a home run in spring training. Defensively, he's not good. That's the only thing. I mean, he's just not thinking sometimes in the outfield. But no one cares because he's such a tremendous hitter as well. Certainly, even with Aaron Judge on his team, the number one, 41 home runs, 100. I mean, just offensively and every standard, fantastic. He's still not as good as the Judge, Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge again last season, 58 home runs, 144 RBIs. The Yankee captain. Only thing I would say, he's getting older. I think it is a thing, him going back to right. I think not a good idea putting him in center. They're going to have Bellinger this year, but Judge, no question. Nothing to worry about. He's over 50 home runs like every year. No question about it. There you go. So those are the top 10 right fielders in 2025 in MLB. Next week, we're going to go over the pitchers. So we have 3 more left here as well as we march towards the beginning. Oh, 4 more. I think, no, not the pitchers. DH next week. We're going to go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead and talk about the Orioles' second spring training report. So that's going on. So now we're in full swing. So last week, guys just started the report, kind of getting started. Now we're in the games. Now we're in the things that are happening for sure. Second spring training report for the Orioles. So they lost the spring training opener to the Pirates 10-5. Emmanuel Rivera hit a home run in the 8th inning. First pitch, Albert Suarez pitched inning in 2/3, gave up 2 runs. It's a start as well. I think just getting it out the way, getting it start is a good thing for the Orioles. I don't know who's going to be on the bench. I think that's going to be a thing. I don't know how much these at-bats are going to matter on the bench for some of these guys. So be interesting to see how that goes as well. Cade Povich had 2 innings in his first spring training game. This is the second game against the Phillies. That was on Sunday. Gave up no runs. Former Phillies, Vladimir Mishkin hit a home run in the 2nd inning for the Orioles. Like, I saw it on Twitter, but somebody said, like, who is that? Like, that's spring training. You're going to get a lot of guys you don't know former play for the Phillies. I don't think he's going to make the team. I think he's just a guy who's just here, you know, before the outright on playing AA, something like that. Get him ready. Norfolk is the thing. Sometimes you want to have guys ready who have some major league experience. AA is probably, to me, the last time you're really developing guys. AAA, you want guys, you're developing guys, but you want some guys there that are kind of like 4A players, guys that are ready to take a spot on the major league roster. Guys maybe you don't have a long-term future with, but guys you have on the roster ready to play and fill in if guys get hurt. That's a lot of the function of AAA, a guy like that. Sagano, Tommy Scano pitched his first live practice at Ed Smith Stadium on Friday. Ravori arrived from Japan, quickly animated through a side session on Tuesday. Sagano pitched only needed 6 pitches to get the first inning and started in the second inning quickly, getting the first 2 batters out as well. All accounts, he's looked very good in spring training. I've not heard any negative with him as far as the way he's looked. Him and Charlie Morton have looked good so far. Now, it's still early in the spring. We're not in the games and all that other stuff yet. They're still kind of getting stuff ready. But everything has looked good as well. There's no indication that this is an error or anything like that. He's really pitched well. Dylan Beavers having a very strong spring. Unappreciated prospect. Shout out to Cam Bryce who wrote this right here. Unappreciated prospect that's not talked much about. He's really having a good spring. I love Dylan Beavers. Not by me. I think Dylan Beavers is all these outfielders. I kind of can't understand what Michael Elias is doing. You got Bradfield, you got Dylan Beavers, you got Honeycutt, you have Kerstad, you have Kauser, Stola, and you brought in Carlson. I don't know what you're doing with all these outfielders, but that's not stopping a young player like Dylan Beavers from really turning the cover off the ball during the spring. Brandon Hyde said on February 25th, Philly Tweets will throw a couple more live BP sessions and one more tomorrow and on Thursday. Boy, it's so non-committal on Felix. I don't know why they're not letting it rip at this point. I think I talked about this last week as well. But it's been 16 months. Let it rip. Let's see what we got at this point. They're just slow walking everything with Felix. But I like to see it. At this point, you should be letting it rip. But they're just kind of just slow walking everything with Felix. Chase McDermott has still not been cleared to begin activities. However, he said earlier today that he feels good after going miles chant last year. So doubtful we'll have McDermott at the beginning of the year. It depends on how he feels. I think you see maybe May or something like that. I'm not sure there's a spot for him anyway, so there's no reason to rush. So you may see him in Norfolk or whatever anyway, send it down. And then if you need him here, I think bullpen is more where he is going to be. Brandon Young, expected spring speaking at Norfolk, was tossed to scoreless innings pitches at Clearwater's, retired the side in the 7th, in the 5th. So Brandon Young's looked pretty good here. Look, you don't have Chance McDermott as well. You're going to have somebody ready in there. I think the guy that maybe called up first is Brandon Young. He has looked pretty good. A couple scoreless innings so far as Orioles pitching prospects, and Orioles have a 2-2 record, whatever that's worth, in spring training. So definitely Orioles are going through the spring. Everything's been good so far. There hasn't been any major injuries or anything yet to report as well. Guys looking healthy as well. We're still waiting on Batista to go ahead and pitch in a game. We'll see. So definitely the Orioles, as they're trudging through spring training, we're going to have a game here at the end of March. Thank you very much. Tough night for the turf, man. Thought we had it. Next week, Ravens mock draft. We're going to go ahead and talk about that, the 7th-round Ravens mock draft. Thank you for joining us here on the Ravori Sports Podcast. Enjoy the rest of your day.